You don't expect a song about poverty and disappointment to top the charts, especially in the middle of the 1980s pop explosion. But when Tracy Chapman released Fast Car, she wasn't chasing fame. She was telling the truth, and somehow the world listened. A quiet voice, a sad story, a song that hit like a punch to the chest and never left. Welcome to Backstage Melody, where we uncover the real stories behind the hits. Today we're diving into the haunting escape inside Fast Car and why this one soft-spoken anthem still has the power to break your heart. Tracy Chapman wasn't born into fame. She was born into hardship. Raised in Cleveland, Ohio, by a single mother who worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet, Tracy's childhood was anything but easy. Her parents divorced when she was only 4. Her mother, despite the financial strain, recognized something special in her daughter early on and bought Tracy her first guitar when she was just 8 years old. That single gesture changed everything. In the working-class neighborhoods of Cleveland, Tracy wasn't surrounded by opportunity. She was surrounded by noise, literal and emotional, racism, economic struggle, a sense of invisibility. And rather than fight to be heard in a world that never asked her to speak, Tracy did something different. She listened, she wrote, and quietly, she began shaping the stories that would one day break the hearts of millions. Chapman's earliest songs weren't fantasies. They were raw reflections about broken families, survival, and longing for something better. She wasn't dreaming of stardom, she was dreaming of escape. Her music wasn't polished or commercial, it was painfully honest. And that honesty made her stand out, especially as a young black woman drawn to folk music, a genre that, at the time, was overwhelmingly white and male-dominated. There was no clear path for someone like Tracy in that world, no blueprint, no model to follow. But she didn't care. She didn't write songs to impress anyone. She wrote them because she had to, because they were her lifeline. And that lifeline was about to be noticed by someone in the most unexpected place. Tracy Chapman didn't walk into the music industry with a plan. She walked into it by accident. After earning a scholarship, she enrolled at Tufts University in Massachusetts, majoring in anthropology and African studies. While academics were her focus, she never stopped writing songs. Music remained her quiet sanctuary, something she did alone for herself, not for crowds or approval. But Boston's underground music scene in the early 80s had other plans for her. At night, Tracy would perform at local coffee houses and open mic nights, spaces where poetry, protest, and raw honesty thrived. She didn't show up into flashy outfits or perform with a band. She walked in with a guitar, a soft voice, and lyrics that cut deep. Her sound was unlike anything around her. While other acts chased trends, Tracy told truths, and one night, her truth landed in the right ears. A fellow Tufts student, Brian Koppelman, saw her perform at a university event. Koppelman wasn't a talent scout, but his father, Charles Koppelman, was a major executive at SBK Publishing and had ties to Elektra Records. Brian was so moved by her performance that he got a cassette recording of her music and sent it to his father. At first, the label was hesitant. Tracy didn't look or sound like a pop star, but that was exactly the point. There was something in her voice, vulnerable, powerful, unshakable, that made her impossible to ignore. Elektra took a chance. And Chapman, still just a college student, suddenly found herself signing a major label deal. Not because she chased fame, but because someone finally stopped to listen. But even with a record deal in hand, the music industry didn't quite know what to do with her, and what happened next would redefine everything. By 1988, the music charts were electric. Synthesizers ruled the airwaves. MTV was saturated with glam, neon, and high-energy pop. It was the era of Madonna's provocative stage shows, Michael Jackson's genre-defining videos, and Stadium Rock's oversized bravado. And into that glittering chaos walked Tracy Chapman, with nothing but an acoustic guitar and a whisper of a voice. Her debut album, Tracy Chapman, was released on April 5, 1988. Tucked quietly within, it was a song called Fast Car. No flashy production, no dance beat. Just stripped-down chords and heartbreaking lyrics about a woman desperate to break free from generational poverty and emotional cycles she couldn't escape. Industry executives didn't know how to market her. She wasn't pop, wasn't R&B, and didn't fit the mold of a typical black artist in that era. Radio programmers hesitated. Some stations flat out refused to play her. MTV, the gatekeeper of music stardom in the 80s, struggled to figure out how she fit into their hyper-stylized format. But Fast Car had a quiet power that refused to be ignored. At first, it spread through college radio and word-of-mouth buzz. Then came a moment that changed everything. Tracy Chapman was invited to perform at the Nelson Mandela 70th birthday tribute concert in London, broadcast to over 600 million viewers around the world. She wasn't even supposed to be the main act. In fact, she had a second chance to perform, only because Stevie Wonder's set ran into technical issues. So Chapman took the stage again, alone, just her guitar and her voice. No smoke machines, no backup dancers, and she captivated the world. The raw vulnerability in Fast Car translated across language, culture, and class. Her words about broken dreams and fragile hope felt deeply personal to people from every background. The single shot up the charts. It reached number 1, 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, and stayed there for weeks. The album went multi-platinum, and without ever raising her voice, Chapman had done something radical. She made the world listen to pain that usually went unheard. But the real story wasn't just in the song's rise. It was in the lyrics themselves, and the pain they quietly revealed. Fast Car sounds simple, a soft melody, a road trip, a glimmer of hope. But listen closely, and it's absolutely devastating. The song opens like a dream, a couple planning to leave it all behind. You got a fast car? I want a ticket to anywhere. It's that moment when you believe, just for a second, that escape is possible, that love can fix what's broken, that maybe, if you just get far enough away, life will finally be kind. But as the verses unfold, that dream begins to unravel. The narrator escapes her past, only to fall into a cycle that looks eerily familiar. She leaves a dead-end life with an alcoholic father and poverty, only to wind up with a partner who also drinks, fails to keep a job, and drifts further from the promises they made together. She trades one prison for another, and suddenly, the fast car doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like a loop. Chapman never names the characters. She doesn't use flowery language. She just lays it out plainly. I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone. One of the most quietly gut-wrenching lines in music history. It's not a song about rebellion. It's a song about resignation, about the slow, painful realization that even when you run, the past sometimes catches up, that the systems we're born into, poverty, abuse, addiction, don't always let us drive away clean. Chapman later said the song was inspired by her own upbringing and the lives she observed around her. It was about economic struggle, working-class women, and that deep yearning for agency. But she never over-explained it. She left space in the song, room for listeners to insert their story, their escape plan, their disappointments. That's why Fast Car became more than a hit. It became a mirror, one that millions of people saw themselves in. And while the world was falling in love with her honesty, the spotlight was beginning to close in, and Chapman was already looking for another kind of escape. Tracy Chapman's rise was meteoric, but it came at a cost she never asked to pay. By the end of 1988, she wasn't just a breakout star, she was a cultural force. Fast Car had turned into an anthem. Her debut album went multi-platinum. She won 3 Grammy Awards, including Best New Artist. And suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of her. But fame didn't fit her, not the way it did with the glossy, camera-ready stars of the 80s. Chapman wasn't interested in red carpets or gossip columns. She didn't care about fashion deals or celebrity parties. And when journalists asked personal questions, she answered with quiet deflection, or not at all. She wasn't rude, she was resolute. Her privacy was non-negotiable. The media didn't know what to do with her. Here was this brilliant songwriter, critically acclaimed, wildly successful, who had no interest in becoming a public figure, no scandals to exploit, no sound bites to go viral, just the music and silence. And in that silence, people started projecting onto her. Some called her mysterious, others called her aloof. In reality, Chapman was just being consistent. She'd never courted attention in the first place. Her follow-up albums, like Crossroads and Matters of the Heart, were deeply introspective, exploring themes of injustice, longing, and emotional disconnection. Critics praised them, but they didn't generate the same commercial buzz. And that was fine with her. She wasn't chasing chart positions, she was chasing clarity. While others built empires around their image, Chapman quietly removed herself from the spectacle. No tabloid drama, no messy breakups, no social media feuds. She stopped touring frequently. Interviews became rare. She retreated into a quiet life, showing up only when the music truly demanded it. And in doing so, she preserved something most artists lose: authenticity. But even as Tracy tried to disappear from the spotlight, Fast Car refused to fade. In fact, decades later, it would find a whole new engine and take off all over again. Decades passed, Tracy Chapman stayed quiet, and yet, Fast Car never stopped moving. It lingered on playlists and film soundtracks, and in the hearts of listeners who'd once dreamed of escaping their own broken lives. Younger generations discovered it through covers, TikTok edits, and Spotify algorithms. The song had legs, longer than anyone could have predicted. But in 2023, something remarkable happened. Luke Combs, a rising star in country music, released a faithful cover of Fast Car. It wasn't flashy or overproduced. It didn't modernize the lyrics or remix the melody. He kept it simple, honoring the emotional gravity of the original. And it took off. The cover soared up the charts, eventually hitting #1 on the Billboard Country Airplay chart. For the first time in history, a black woman became the sole writer of a country chart-topping song. Tracy Chapman didn't sing a note on that version. She didn't promote it. She didn't appear in the video. But her voice, the one from decades ago, echoed in every line. In an industry that often sidelines black voices in country and folk spaces, this was seismic. Combs didn't take credit. He praised Chapman openly, calling Fast Car one of his favorite songs growing up. He said he'd always dreamed of recording it, and that he felt honored just to bring it to a new audience. And Chapman, she responded the only way she ever has, with humility and grace. "I'm honored to be there," she said in a rare statement, "and I'm grateful that new fans have found and embraced Fast Car through Luke's version." She didn't jump at the moment, no surprise appearances, no sudden return tour, just acknowledgement, gratitude, still silent, still powerful. The song had come full circle, starting as a desperate whisper from a young woman trying to escape, and becoming an intergenerational anthem sung by voices she never even met. And through it all, Chapman's refusal to chase the spotlight became her greatest statement, leaving a legacy more powerful than any headline could ever capture. Tracy's legacy: soft power, loud impact. Tracy Chapman didn't shout. She didn't fight for the front row. And she never begged to be heard. She simply spoke her truth and let it echo. In an industry obsessed with image, she became iconic for her absence. While other artists reshaped themselves to fit new eras, Chapman remained defiantly consistent. The same guitar, the same vulnerability, the same refusal to play pretend. And yet, she broke barriers with the quiet force of a wrecking ball. As a black woman in folk music, she shattered expectations. Her success opened doors for other artists of color in genres that had long been gatekept. Without flashy branding or label-crafted personas, she showed that authenticity could win, that stripped-down emotion could outlast even the trendiest sound. She wasn't just a musician, she was a force for change. In 1988, Chapman performed at the Nelson Mandela 70th birthday tribute, aligning herself with one of the most powerful political movements of the 20th century. That performance wasn't just a breakout moment, it was a declaration of values. Her music tackled poverty, racism, and injustice with quiet precision. She didn't yell, she didn't campaign, but her lyrics carried weight like protest signs. Over the years, artists from all genres, Alicia Keys, India, Airy, Brandi Carlile, even Beyoncé, have credited Chapman as a major influence, not just for her sound, but for her courage to stay silent in a world addicted to noise. She never conformed to industry expectations. She never needed a viral moment. Her impact wasn't built on visibility. It was built on integrity. And now, as Fast Car finds new life through Luke Combs and across digital platforms, Chapman's legacy deepens. Not just as a songwriter, not just as a singer, but as proof that soft power is sometimes the loudest kind of revolution. Because Tracy Chapman didn't just tell her story, she made space for millions of others to tell theirs, and that's a legacy no spotlight could ever fully contain. Tracy Chapman never chased fame, she chased freedom. Fast Car wasn't made for the charts. It was made from pain, hope, and the dream of getting out. And somehow, that quiet honesty hit harder than any pop anthem of its time. Decades later, the song still moves us, because its message hasn't aged. It's not just about driving, it's about surviving. Chapman didn't shout to be heard, she whispered, and the world leaned in. Here at Backstage Melody, we uncover the stories that echo long after the music fades. And Fast Car? It's the kind of song that never stops driving forward. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more stories behind the hits.